The Great Hall of the Galactic Council hummed with tension as Director Rhiannon Drake stood before the assembled representatives of 500 spacefaring civilizations. Through the crystalline dome above, the three suns of Nexus Prime cast an otherworldly glow across the arena-sized chamber. This should have been humanity's triumphant moment, their official acceptance into galactic society. Instead, it was about to become their greatest challenge. The Grand Sovereign, a being of pure energy contained within an ancient metallic frame, raised its consciousness crown. We have observed your species, humans of Earth, since you first breached the light barrier. Your achievement of faster-than-light travel drew our attention, but what we discovered has deeply disturbed us. Director Drake maintained her composure, though her heart raced. Behind her, Commander Victor Xiong and Chief Scientist Prisha Patel stood in rigid attention, representing Earth's military and scientific achievements respectively. We have reviewed your history, continued the Grand Sovereign, its voice resonating directly in their minds. Your rate of technological advancement is unprecedented. In mere centuries, you progressed from primitive combustion engines to dimensional fold drives. This acceleration defies all known development patterns. Surely that's a testament to our potential, Drake responded, careful to keep her tone respectful. We come seeking peaceful exchange and— You come seeking knowledge, interrupted the Voidborn delegate, its dark matter form rippling with obvious distaste. Knowledge you would inevitably weaponize, as you have done with every discovery in your history. Holographic displays materialized around the chamber, showing Earth's history of warfare, but also their breakthroughs in physics, biology, and dimensional science. Each achievement, each innovation displayed at a pace that seemed to unnerve the assembled council. 3 months, spoke the Silicon Consciousness representative, its crystalline form pulsing with light. That's how long it took your species to adapt our standard universal translator to achieve capabilities that took other races decades. Your adaptive potential is dangerous. Commander Xiong stepped forward. With respect, you're describing efficiency and innovation as if they were crimes. They become crimes, the Grand Sovereign's voice thundered, when paired with your species' innate drive for dominance. Our predictive matrices show a 97.3% probability that within 1 century humanity would achieve technological superiority over current council races. Within 2 centuries you would rule the galaxy, whether through direct conquest or subtle manipulation of power structures. The words hit Drake like physical blows. This wasn't just rejection, this was fear. The most powerful civilizations in the galaxy feared what humanity might become. Therefore, the Grand Sovereign continued, by unanimous decision of the High Council, humanity is hereby banished from galactic society. You will be confined to your solar system by a Class X dimensional barrier. Any attempt to breach this barrier will be considered an act of war against all Council races. The chamber erupted in approving light patterns and energy signatures. Director Drake's mind raced, analyzing, adapting, just as they accused humans of doing so dangerously well. You realize, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber, that by doing this, you guarantee the very future you fear. The chamber fell silent. By isolating us, by treating us as a threat, Drake continued, you ensure we will develop without your guidance, without your ethics, without your constraints. You don't fear what we are, you fear what we'll become. And now you've given us no choice but to become exactly that. The Grand Sovereign's energy form flickered. Your words only confirm our decision. Return to your system, humans. The barrier will be erected within 1 planetary rotation. As they were escorted back to their ship, Commander Xiong whispered, they're right to fear us, aren't they? Drake's lips curved in a slight smile. They just made their greatest mistake. They showed us exactly what we're capable of becoming. Back on their ship, Chief Scientist Patel was already working furiously at her quantum terminal. Director, during the hearing, I recorded everything. The barrier they're planning to use, it's based on void space technology. They gave us the key to our own cage. How long to crack it? Drake asked. Years, decades maybe, but Patel's eyes gleamed with the challenge. They don't understand human determination. And they certainly don't understand what humans achieve when someone tells them something's impossible. As their ship departed Nexus Prime, Drake stood at the observation deck, watching the galaxy they were supposed to join fade into the distance. The Council thought they were containing a threat. Instead, they had just created one. Begin Project Void Dominion, she commanded over the ship's secure channel. Priority level ultimate, objective, total mastery of void space technology. The Council wants to banish us to the void. Fine, we'll become its rulers. The journey back to Earth was silent but not somber. In the silence, the seeds of humanity's greatest transformation were already taking root. The Council had meant to write humanity's ending. Instead, they had just written the opening chapter of their rise to power. 10 years after humanity's banishment, Earth had changed beyond recognition. The solar system's asteroid belt had been transformed into a vast network of research stations and manufacturing facilities, all hidden from the Council's observation posts by revolutionary cloaking technology. Deep within Ceres Station, the largest of these hidden facilities, Chief Scientist Prisha Patel stood before a holographic representation of their greatest achievement yet. The prototype void ship designation Shadow Wraith hung in the air before her, its obsidian hull seeming to bend light around it. The void drive is stable, she reported to the assembled Leadership Council. Director Drake, now showing streaks of silver in her dark hair, studied the projection intently. We've successfully replicated the Council's void space technology and improved upon it. Where their ships can only skirt the edges of void space, ours can dive deep into it. Commander Xiong, his face bearing new scars from early testing accidents, leaned forward. And the Council's barrier. A smile crossed Patel's face. That's the beauty of it. Their barrier is designed to detect and prevent normal spacetime breaches, but we're not breaking through spacetime anymore, we're sliding between its layers, like smoke through a fence. The prototype's first test flight was scheduled for the next day. In the observation deck, Director Drake watched as the Shadow Wraith prepared for launch. The ship's unique design, all sharp angles and light-absorbing surfaces, made it look less like a vessel and more like a piece of the void itself. Beginning void drive initialization sequence, Captain Kira Yamamoto's voice came through clear on the comm. She had been chosen to pilot the prototype after showing an unprecedented natural affinity for void space navigation in the simulators. All systems nominal. The Shadow Wraith's engines began to hum, but instead of the bright flare of conventional drives, darkness seemed to gather around it. Space itself appeared to fold inward, creating a tunnel of absolute blackness. Void drive engaged, Yamamoto reported calmly, entering void space in 3, 2, 1. The ship didn't so much disappear as cease to exist in normal space. On their quantum monitors, they could track its progress through the void, moving through layers of reality that the Council had never dared to explore. Position check, Patel called out, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. We're beyond Mars orbit, Yamamoto responded. The barrier, I can see it from here, it's like a soap bubble around the solar system, but from within void space it might as well not exist at all. Drake's hands tightened on the railing, take us beyond it. For a moment there was silence on the comm. Then, we're through, we're outside the barrier. I'm picking up no alerts, no response from the Council monitoring stations. As far as they're concerned, nothing happened at all. A cheer went up through the control room, but Drake raised her hand for silence. This is just the beginning. Captain Yamamoto, proceed with Phase 2. The Shadow Wraith continued its historic journey, pushing deeper into void space than any vessel had ever gone. Through the quantum link, they received Yamamoto's sensor data. The void wasn't empty as the Council had always believed. It was a realm of infinite possibility, filled with streams of pure energy and shortcuts through spacetime. Director, Yamamoto's voice held a note of awe, I'm detecting something massive out here, it looks like a nexus of void space currents. If we could establish a base here, we could reach any point in the galaxy almost instantaneously. Drake turned to Patel, can we build in void space? The scientist was already running calculations. With the right modifications to our matter stabilization technology, yes. We could construct facilities that exist partially in void space, completely undetectable to conventional sensors. Then that's our next step, Drake declared. Project Eclipse begins now. We'll build our empire in the spaces between spaces in the darkness they thought would contain us. Over the next months, more void ships were constructed, each one more advanced than the last. The Shadow Wraith's discovery became the site of Umbra Base, humanity's first extrasolar facility. Built in the confluence of void space currents, it served as both a research station and a launching point for humanity's covert expansion. What the Council failed to understand was that in trying to cage humanity, they had given them the keys to the kingdom. Every species in the galaxy used void space for faster-than-light travel, but they treated it as a means to an end, a tunnel to pass through. Humans, with their relentless drive to explore and understand, saw it as a realm to be conquered. In her private quarters, Drake reviewed the latest reports. The void ship fleet was growing. Umbra base was nearly complete. Scout ships had already mapped void space currents reaching to the galaxy's core. But more importantly, they had discovered something the Council had missed in their complacency. They weren't alone in the void. Director Her Quantumcom chimed, "We've made contact with the Shade Collective." Drake's eyes narrowed. The legend is true then, there are native void space entities. Yes, and they're interested in us. They say we're the first species to truly understand the void. They want to talk. A smile crossed Drake's face. The Council had feared humanity's potential for advancement and adaptation. They never imagined that by casting humanity into the darkness, they would create something far more powerful than they had feared, masters of a realm they barely understood. "Prepare my void ship," she ordered. "It's time to make some new allies." The Council had meant to write humanity's ending. Instead, they had given them dominion over the very fabric of space itself. The age of void supremacy was about to begin. 20 years into humanity's exile, Umbra Base had evolved into a sprawling metropolis suspended in void space. Its dark spires and crystalline structures existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, a testament to humanity's mastery over the very fabric of reality. Within the central command chamber, Director Drake stood before the assembled leaders of the Shade Collective. The void native beings manifested as shifting patterns of darkness, their consciousness far different from biological life. Their leader, who had taken the name Nexus, communicated through pulses of void energy that the humans had learned to interpret. "Your species continues to surprise us," Nexus resonated. "In mere decades, you've achieved what we thought impossible, the perfect fusion of material and void technology." Drake nodded, gesturing to the latest breakthrough displayed before them. "The phase gate network is nearly complete. Soon, we'll be able to move entire fleets across the galaxy instantly, completely undetectable to Council sensors." Commander Xiang, his cybernetic eye glowing softly in the dim light, brought up a galactic map. Hundreds of points of light marked hidden human outposts and colonies, all existing partially in void space. "Our population beyond the solar system now exceeds 10 million, each colony equipped with void shields and phase technology." The true genius of humanity's adaptation wasn't just technological, it was biological. Living partially in void space had begun to change human colonists. Children born in the void colonies displayed natural abilities to perceive and manipulate void energy. The Council's greatest fear, humanity's capacity for rapid evolution, was being proven right. "The Council grows restless," reported Admiral Yamamoto, recently promoted after her pioneering work with the Void Fleet. "Their long-range sensors have detected anomalies they can't explain. They know something's happening in the void, but they can't understand what they're seeing." Chief Scientist Patel, her aging features offset by the youthful energy in her eyes, manipulated the holographic display. "Let them look. Every scan they perform passes right through our void-shifted facilities. We're like ghosts in their universe." A junior officer burst into the chamber, their voidcom projecting urgent data. "Director, we've detected a Council exploration fleet. They're attempting to map void space currents near the Orion Spur." Drake's expression remained calm. "Right on schedule, Admiral Yamamoto deploy the Phantom Division. Let's give them their first glimpse of what they created." Throughout the galaxy, Council ships had been reporting strange phenomena. Shadows moving against the stars. Impossible readings on their void sensors. Some ships disappeared completely, only to reappear days later with their crews having no memory of the lost time. The Council exploration fleet near Orion consisted of 5 of their most advanced ships. They never saw the human vessels coming. The void ships emerged from nowhere, their advanced hulls absorbing all scanning attempts. They were led by the Nemesis, humanity's first void space dreadnought, a vessel that could tear holes in reality itself. "This is Captain Jinwei of the Terra Void Fleet." The transmission cut through all Council encryption like it wasn't there. "You are witnessing a demonstration. For 20 years you thought you contained us. Instead, you forced us to evolve beyond your understanding." The Council ships attempted to flee, but the Void ships had already created a phase barrier around them. They were trapped in a bubble of altered spacetime. "Return to your Council," Wei continued. "Tell them what you've seen here. Tell them that the species they banished to the void has become its master. Tell them that their barrier around Sol no longer matters, we're already everywhere. The Council ships were released, their sensors filled with data they couldn't interpret, their crews shaken by the display of power they'd witnessed. As they fled back to Council space, the void ships simply vanished, becoming one with the darkness between stars. In Umbra Base, Drake watched the recording of the encounter. And so it begins, she mused. The Council will panic when they receive this report. They'll try to find us, try to stop what they think is coming. Let them try, Nexus pulsed. They understand so little of the Void's true nature. Already other species seek you out. Those the Council deemed unworthy, those they pushed aside, they see in humanity a path to power they were denied. It was true. Through secret channels and void space communications, representatives from dozens of species had made contact. Some were ancient races that had retreated from Council space ages ago. Others were emerging civilizations that the Council had attempted to suppress. All of them saw in humanity's rise a chance to reshape the galaxy. The Alliance of the Void, Drake announced to the assembled leaders. That's what we'll call this new coalition, not an empire of conquest, but a union of those who understand that true power lies in the spaces between spaces. The Void itself seemed to pulse with approval. Humanity had not merely survived their banishment, they had discovered their destiny. The Council had feared they would conquer the galaxy through force. Instead, they would transform it from within, from the shadows, from the Void itself. Prepare the next phase, Drake ordered. It's time to show the galaxy that the age of the Council is ending, the era of the Void has begun. As if in response, the vast Void fleet assembled beyond Umbra Base, thousands of ships that existed between dimensions, crewed by humans who had made darkness their home. The Council had meant to write humanity's ending. Instead, they had created the architects of their own obsolescence. The Grand Council chamber on Nexus Prime was in chaos. Emergency beacons flashed across thousands of worlds as reports flooded in from every sector of Council space. Vast swathes of the galaxy were going dark, communications disrupted by an unseen force that moved through the Void like a tide of shadow. 47 major colonies have lost contact with Council control, the Silicon Consciousness representative reported, its crystalline form flickering with distress patterns. Our void space sensors detect massive energy fluctuations, but we cannot identify their source. The Grand Sovereign's energy form pulsed erratically. How did we not see this coming? The answer materialized before them as the chamber's security systems suddenly failed. The air itself seemed to tear open as a figure stepped through reality, Director Drake, now bearing the official title of Void Sovereign, her form partially phased into void space itself. The Council representatives recoiled at the sight of a being existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. You saw exactly what was coming, Drake's voice resonated through both normal and void space. You saw humanity's potential, you feared it so much that you tried to contain it, and in doing so you gave us the key to power you never imagined. Through the tears in reality, they could see the true extent of humanity's achievement. Vast void cities floating in the darkness between dimensions. Fleets of ships that could alter the very fabric of space-time, and billions of humans who had adapted to live in harmony with the Void itself. Impossible, the Voidborn delegate whispered, our barrier. Your barrier, Drake laughed, the sound echoing strangely through multiple dimensions. We bypassed it 18 years ago. While you congratulated yourselves on containing us, we built an empire in the spaces you were too afraid to explore. The chamber's holographic displays activated, showing scenes from across the galaxy. The Alliance of the Void had emerged simultaneously across thousands of locations. Ships of designs never seen before hung in orbit around major Council worlds. Ground forces phased in and out of reality, completely negating planetary defenses. Admiral Yamamoto's voice echoed through all Council communication channels. All Council military vessels are currently contained within phase-lock space. Your weapons have been neutralized, your FTL capabilities are suspended, the age of Council dominion is over. Commander Xiang, his cybernetic enhancements now fully integrated with Void technology, appeared beside Drake. We control the Void, we control the space between spaces, we control the very fabric that holds your civilization together. This is not an invasion, Drake declared to the stunned Council. This is an evolution. For too long, you've suppressed species you deemed unworthy. You've hoarded knowledge, stifled progress, all in the name of stability. The chamber's walls became transparent, revealing the full might of the Void fleet surrounding Nexus Prime. Each ship was a masterpiece of human ingenuity combined with void space technology. The flagship, Humanity's Dawn, hung directly above the council chamber, its massive form shifting between dimensions like a predator ready to strike. The Alliance of the Void offers you a choice, Drake continued. Join us willingly in building a new galactic order, one where advancement is celebrated, not feared, where species are judged by their potential, not their past, or cling to your old ways and fade into obsolescence. Chief Scientist Patel's image appeared, projected simultaneously in every council facility across the galaxy. We've unlocked the fundamental forces that bind reality together. Your barrier technology, we've evolved far beyond it. Your weapons, useless against beings who can step between dimensions at will. The Grand Sovereign's energy form dimmed in submission. What are your terms? Dissolution of the Council's absolute authority, integration into the Alliance as equals not rulers, full disclosure of all suppressed technologies and scientific knowledge. Drake's voice carried the weight of humanity's long journey from exiles to rulers. The species you banished has returned not as conquerors, but as guides to a future you were too afraid to imagine. Through quantum-linked communications, representatives of the Alliance appeared, dozens of species the Council had rejected or suppressed, now empowered by humanity's void technology. Among them, the Shade Collective's nexus pulsed with approval. Your greatest mistake, Drake concluded, was thinking you could contain humanity's potential. Instead, you forced us to exceed it. We don't want your surrender. We want your participation in the galaxy's next great leap forward. The council chambers fell silent as the reality of their situation became clear. The species they had banished had not only survived, they had transcended. Humanity had taken their punishment and transformed it into power beyond imagination. The void is not empty, Drake's final words resonated through dimensions. It is the source of infinite potential. You tried to imprison us in darkness. Instead, you helped us become its masters. The age of the council was ending. The era of the void had begun. And humanity, once banished and forgotten, now held the key to the galaxy's transformation. 1 year after the Great Revelation, the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. The former council capital of Nexus Prime had been rebuilt into something entirely new, a city that existed simultaneously in normal space and the void, its crystalline spires reaching through multiple dimensions. At its heart stood the Convergence Chamber, where representatives of all species gathered to witness the final step in humanity's journey from outcasts to rulers. Void Sovereign Drake, her form now permanently existing in both realities, stood before the assembled galaxy. Her physical appearance had evolved, streams of void energy coursed through her being, a living testament to humanity's transformation. Behind her, the massive viewing wall showed thousands of void cities and stations scattered across the galaxy, each a beacon of the new order. 30 years ago, she began, her voice carrying through both physical and void space, the old council thought they were writing humanity's epitaph. Instead, they wrote the prologue to their own transformation. Admiral Yamamoto, her void-enhanced flagship Eternal Dawn, in orbit above, transmitted images of the newly established Void Network, a transportation system that connected the entire galaxy through controlled void space corridors. The barriers between stars have fallen. Distance has become meaningless. We have united the galaxy not through conquest but through innovation. Chief Scientist Patel, now more energy than matter after decades of void space research, manipulated the holographic displays to show their greatest achievement yet. The void synthesis is complete. We can now create stable regions where normal space and void space coexist perfectly. Every species can now access the power of the void safely, under humanity's guidance. The former Grand Sovereign, now serving as a representative of the transformed council races, stepped forward. Its energy form had been enhanced by void technology, giving it new understanding of the reality it had once feared. We thought containing humanity would preserve our order. We failed to understand that change is not the enemy of stability, stagnation is. Commander Xiong, his cybernetic systems now fully integrated with void technology, reported from the military command center. The last pockets of resistance have accepted the new reality. The galaxy is united, not under the banner of conquest, but under the principles of advancement and exploration. Nexus, speaking for the Shade Collective, pulsed with approval. Humanity has achieved what we thought impossible. They have bridged the gap between material existence and void space. They have become the perfect synthesis of both realms. The gathered representatives watched in awe as Drake activated the Convergence Protocol. Across the galaxy, new void gates sprang to life, creating stable passages between normal space and the void. Ships of all species could now travel safely through these corridors, guided by human void masters and their allies. "We do not seek to rule through fear," Drake declared, "but through understanding. The void is not a weapon, it is the next step in galactic evolution. Today we complete our journey from exiles to guides." The ceremony reached its climax as the first graduates of the Void Academy were presented, representatives from every species who had learned to harness void energy under human tutelage. Among them were former council races, once suppressed species, and even new civilizations discovered in the void itself. "The age of division is over," Drake continued. "We are no longer bound by the limitations of single-dimension existence. Through the void we have found not just power but understanding, not just technology but transcendence." Professor Marcus Chen, head of the New Void Sciences Institute, presented the latest research. "Our understanding of reality itself continues to expand. The void is not empty, it is filled with infinite possibilities. And humanity, through our unique journey, has become its interpreter." The former council races had undergone their own transformation. Their fear had been replaced by wonder as they discovered the true potential that humanity had unlocked. Their technology, combined with void space innovations, had created something entirely new, a civilization that spanned dimensions. "Let history record this moment," Drake's voice resonated through all dimensions. "Not as the day humanity claimed dominion over the galaxy, but as the day we fulfilled our true purpose, becoming the bridge between realities, the shepherds of advancement, the guardians of innovation." The void itself seemed to pulse with energy as the ceremony concluded. Across the galaxy, void gates synchronized, creating a network of stable passages through dimensions. Ships of all species moved freely through these corridors, their crews no longer bound by the old limitations of space and time. "The Council feared we would conquer the galaxy through force," Drake reflected, watching the celebrations across multiple dimensions. "Instead, we have transformed it through understanding. They feared what humanity would become, and in doing so, they helped us become something far greater than they could have imagined." As the new era dawned, humanity stood not as conquerors, but as masters of the void, teachers, guides, and protectors of a galaxy finally united in its drive to explore the infinite possibilities of existence. The species that had been banished to the darkness had emerged as the light that would guide the galaxy into its next great adventure. The void was no longer a place of exile. It had become the cradle of a new civilization, where humanity's greatest strengths, adaptation, innovation, and determination, had forged a future that transcended the very boundaries of reality itself.